great. I'm a big Final Cut Pro 10 fan, and I guess I'm more on the other side of, yeah, this is what I use more now to do my editorial than Final Cut 7. Still use both, but there's just some things in here that I really like. And the first thing would be speed, and of course the metadata, being able to organize things by database. It's really powerful. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about some of the new features, and of course, some of the most, some of the criticism leveled at Final Cut 10. By the way, it is Final Cut 10, it's not Final Cut X. Is that, it lacks professional features. And, well, 10.01 addressed a lot of that. One of the big things, of course, was lack of tracks. How do I get my mix out? How do I organize things? How do I talk to other apps? I mean, Final Cut Pro, when it came out, everyone was like, whoa, Final Cut Pro is completely an island now. And so it's great if you're just going to edit on your little laptop. But if I need to get something to a mixer, or if I need to get something over here to, hey, look at this, DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve, I couldn't do it, but now I can. And I want to talk about these features and what they mean to your workflow. And I've been playing a lot with these features, and I kind of have, those of you who know me, I'm kind of opinionated. So I'm going to give you a lot of my opinions based on my experience with the app. Now, the first one I want to talk about is rich. I'm going to just write off Apple's marketing page. Rich XML support. Okay, rich XML. Okay, whatever Philip said, that's what I agree with him. Philip and I are on the same camp, but the thing is that XML is the glue. Let's step back a little. XML this, XML that, it's just jargon, it's gobbledygook. But really, it's just a way of structuring data. That's all it is. It puts data in a text format and tags things so that other applications can use that data. Okay, that's really what XML is. And really, I do not want to underplay the value of XML, because really, with XML support, you're going to start seeing things, you're going to start seeing stuff you can do with Final Cut that you couldn't believe were possible in Final Cut 7. And this is a major, this is not a small thing that they added to the app. And I struggled. It's like, what am I going to just talk about XML? Well, no, it's funny. I'm sitting here today. What am I going to show XML? How can a good example of what you're going to see in the very near future? So one of my clients emailed me and said, "Hey, have you checked this out? This guy in the Netherlands, it's probably up, super high in the mountains, big jacket. He's like, look at what I figured out." And he emailed me. He said, "You got to show this, right?" So I'm just going to show you this, okay? Why you need to see how cool this is. All right. So I'm in Final Cut, and I have a simple project here. I've got, hopefully I'm not going to have the playback issues. But okay, got a couple clips here, and then I've got this little picture-in-picture that animates on, and isn't that great? Yeah. And then look, I got a little fade up, and we'll talk later about roles. But this has also been tagged as a role. In fact, I re-tagged it as music. In fact, later, I'll just give you a preview of what we're going to talk about later, but this essentially has been tagged as a music clip, okay? Again, more on that later. But I needed to point that out, because what I'm about to show you is the XML, the API.
No, sorry. Before you demonstrate full cut, you might want to let people know that in fact is not Apple's brand new rich XML format. It's actually a private API that is being used, that was opened up for drag and drop for the automatic duck OMF export. In fact, it's a private format of XML that Apple uses internally called AXL, for Apple Extensible Editing Language. This is not an API that we expect to ever see in public. It's private and therefore should not be used for any application other than used by Apple themselves. The XML that is provided in Final Cut Pro 10.0.1 is in fact a new format called FCP XML, and that is a subset of the internal AXL format, and it is the only one that is approved by Apple for use by third parties.
I wonder, I'm going to show it to you anyway. All right? All right. Now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the project, as my friend Estelle said, my project library. I'm going to open it up, and I really want to get that project out. Okay. Do any of you use After Effects, Adobe After Effects? I know I do. A lot of you. Okay. So you hit Command 0, and you come to the project library, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this little app. I found this app. If you want to play with it, it's called Full Cut AE, and I'm going to go ahead and launch it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this project, and I'm going to drag the project, and let's just drag it off of. Let's see, I wonder if that. There we go. Drag it off of the project library tab and drag it out here. What this essentially does is copies it to the clipboard, and then I'm going to go back to this app. And I'm going to go, what I'm essentially doing is going to take this XML, and it's going to take what I've just shown you in that project library, and it is going to open it in Adobe After Effects, okay, with all the clips intact, all the fades intact, all the rolls intact, all the animation intact, essentially everything that I just showed you intact. In fact, here it is right here. This is the project, and you can see here in After Effects, you can see you got your fade, it even tagged it that way. There's my music roll right there. And I'll just go ahead and I'll just kind of scrub through this here. And there's my clip. You can see them here. When I get to that, remember that animation that you loved so much of the, yeah. Well, here it is. You can see it's a separate layer within After Effects. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit space bar. And you can see that, where is it? Hey, look, there it is. It's coming in. Okay, so, and eventually it will fade out. It'll do everything that you did in Final Cut. And look, if you need to get your Final Cut project into After Effects, right now, I think I downloaded the free. I think they're selling it for the full version. I think it's like $89 or something. But look, regardless, you know, Axel, AMXL, FM, the point is that what we're going to see is the XML is a translation. Third parties like DaVinci, Autodesk, Smoke. You'll be essentially able to open these projects directly in the software like Resolve, and have all the clips there, be able to color grade them, bring it into Smoke, what have you. And I think that's a big part of the story, is that now you will be able to work with these higher end workstations. All right, so that's a quick little thing I wanted to start out with because I thought it was cool. I want to start talking about roles for a moment, because I think that's another big kind of a tent pole that Apple has been talking about in terms of addressing being able to play with others, being able to work with, you know, audio, post people, digital design, Pro Tools, etc. Now, before I go ahead and let me go ahead and quit Final Cut Pro. And the reason I want to do this is I want to show you, I want to kind of set you up for showing you how it was done previously in Final Cut Pro 7 so that you can appreciate this new thing called roles and why it's such a kind of a powerful feature. Let's see here. I'm still, there we go. So what I'm going to do is, and by the way, I still run Final Cut Pro 7. I run it, and I don't partition. I do exactly opposite of what the Apple docs say to do. And I just don't have any problems running both on the same partition, although I'm sure some people would say, you know.
I do the same thing, and I think a lot of other people do the same thing, and I'm just not having any problem.
All right. Cool. So what I'm doing is I'm opening a project that has essentially a lot of video and audio tracks. Now, if you work professionally, a lot of times you're going to want to organize your tracks in such a way that they make sense to those working with you. Like typically, you'll have dialogue on dialogue tracks, sound effects on sound effects, music on music for organizational purpose. In fact, let's just step back for a moment, because that was one of the big things. Where'd my tracks go? When I opened Final Cut, it looks like iMovie. That was kind of disconcerting for a lot of people. And then I started thinking, well, what do you really need tracks for? I mean, and I'm serious. What do some of you use tracks for? Just somebody throw out there and say, this is why I use tracks.
Hardware control.
Okay, hardware control, okay. What's that? Okay, hardware.
Titles.
Titles, okay. What
I
else?
work with a lot of animation shows, and I put all my separate characters on their own individual tracks.
Okay.
Sometimes you want to put a filter just on one character, you do it categorically.
Okay, so essentially organization. Okay. Anything else?
Discrete muting and unmuting of whole tracks.
Discrete muting and unmuting of tracks. Now, why would you want to do that? Versioning. Okay. Well, the reason I think, look, I just wanted to put that out there just to think how you would normally do it in a track-based paradigm versus how you do it in Final Cut. Now, here's a timeline where I have lots of stuff going on. I have dialogue on the first two tracks. I have sound effects. I have music, okay? Now, if you're working professionally and you need to get these out, a lot of times you'll need to get the tracks out as what we call DM&E stems, dialogue, music, and effects, right? And tracks make sense because, you know, I need this music really needs to be down here with this other music, and so you'll move it down. So all the music will be grouped together. Well, why is that? Because at the end of the day, you're going to go here and you're going to disable all the tracks except the ones you want to export as what's typically known as a stem. So if I option click on these, turn those on. So I would turn off all the other ones that I wanted to export, didn't want to export, and I'd export just the ones that are enabled, okay? And so this is a lot of clicking. Not only is it a lot of clicking, but I then have to make sure that all my track stems, my effects, music, and dialogue are in the proper place. So it inherently introduces the possibility of errors and mistakes and what have you. So there's a lot of QC involved, and typically when I go into a studio like ABC, this is what they focus on, making sure when they're sending out their stems, what they call split track masters are going to New York, they have to be right. And so this is that's a lot of time what they spend doing. So what I'm going to do is quit Final Cut Pro 7, and now let's look at Final Cut Pro 10 and how Final Cut Pro 10 deals with the same scenario. Now with Final Cut Pro 10, you of course aren't dealing with tracks, but essentially what Apple is kind of built into the app from the ground up is metadata, and that's the key. In fact, the story of Final Cut 10 is metadata. Everything from its database, how it manages its media, how you merge events, projects, everything's based on essentially a giant database. And so with regard to metadata, would it not make sense to properly tag all of the clips as a roll? And we're not talking R-O-L-L, that's like a dinner roll, but I can roll like I'm in the role of, teacher right now. So, and it's a roll. So you're going to be a dialogue roll or a music roll. And Final Cut Pro is because everything's meta tagged, it knows which is which. So we're going to look at the same process, and I want to walk you through some things I discovered I think you'll find very, very interesting. So I'm going to open up the planet. I'm going to go ahead and open up this. Oops, wrong one. I was going to open up the same project that I had open in Final Cut 10, which is Final Cut 7, which was this one. So we'll open up this project. And the first thing you'll notice is it doesn't look like anything like the Final Cut Pro 7 timeline that we just looked at. In fact, you look at it and you've got clips up and down, you have connected clips, you've got connected audio, a lot of stuff going on here. And look, I have a simple task. I need to get out versions, stems for my audience. Now, over at ABC, they'll typically have music that they have rights for, the domestic rights for, but they don't have maybe that's rights for like international. And so they'll have to have separate stems for like the international music versus the domestic music. Or maybe titles. Maybe there'll be Spanish titles versus English, and there needs to be a way to quickly manage and export that with Alpha Channel. And now you just saw in Final Cut 7, that's a lot of clicking, moving around, turning off lights, exporting, like 10, 12, 13, 14 times. All that has been removed with rolls, and you'll see that in a second. So first thing is,